Holy moly, DylonND, you're telling me Milestone has made a new ride game?
Yes.
Well, is it any good? Don't start with a history lesson or...
It's been roughly 3,083 days since Ride 1's release. 8 years and 5... Hello everyone, DylonND here. You heard that right. It's been that long since Ride 1. We're finally on number 5. It's been about 1,000 days since Ride 4 came out, so as you can imagine, Milestone has had plenty of time to craft a evolution video game experience that is definitely not the same as Ride 4, as you can see from this gameplay here. Gotcha. This is Ride 4. On a serious note, here is my very serious review of Milestone's Ride 5, Mustache Ride. TLDR time. So did Milestone take the Ride series to the next RPM band? No, not for me anyway. The reason I say this is because there's really two types of Chad and Chadettes that play these games. A, normal people, and B, sweaty motorcycle tryhards. I like to think the difference between these two classes like my friend Spencer, who told me playing Rims Racing gave him physical crippling pain about how unfun it was, versus me, in which it got my mojo running. I also like Arma 3. That should tell you everything you need to know. So for all the Spencers out there, Ride 5 is a semi-polished, modern motorcycle simcade that fits the bill for casual playing, with solid motorcycle physics adopted from Milestone's long-standing MotoGP series, top-notch graphics and environments, and an actual online community that plays this game with collision off. It's worth it, especially if motorcycles aren't your main squeeze. Ride 5 doesn't punish you for it. Now for the TLDR, for us sweaty vroomers. I try not to be too negative, because there are aspects I like about Ride 5, but booting it up, I couldn't shake the deja vu. Ride 5 feels like Ride 4 United Offensive. Milestone is making the same game over and over with slight improvements. Just like Bethesda and Skyrim. I mean Skyfield. Bam. You didn't think I'd review Starfield in one sentence, did you? 2 reviews for 1 Patreon subscriber, which I would like to thank because the only reason I got my hands on Ride 5 was thanks to you. So thank you. Go buy yourself an R7, Joe. It has a Brembo rear master cylinder. Anyway, I can't help but ride between these two rides of thought. Both for me equally as important to view the game from, because it isn't a bad game by any means, but there's so much left off the rear stand. Let's start with the physics.
Ride 5 has the best physics ever.
Let's hold on there. Let's slow things down a bit. The thing about that is, Milestone is no longer the only kid in town. When it comes to motorcycle physics, there's a new kid in town. GP Bikes. GP Bikes has the best physics, period. But that doesn't matter, because Ride 5 is trying to appeal to everyone, not just sweaty vroomers. The physics resemble MotoGP's almost exactly. If you played any of the modern GP games, which I reviewed by the way, you'll be able to jump right into the 10W40 semi-synthetic pool. This is a stroke of genius, because the difficulty of these physics is set dead in the center. It's approachable to the Spencers, but not easy to master for the DylonNDs. Bikes feel very responsive, with much less understeer than previous iterations, and you can back it in super nasty. Bikes have character again. They shake loose, wobble, chatter. You really feel planted mid-corner when you do it right. They've also done away with the tuck button, which is a plus in my book. And finally, Ride 5 has the best slow-speed maneuvering I've played in any game. For that, I'll give them a chicken cigar behind a local 7-Eleven. A great bike that showcases what the physics have to offer in Ride 5 is the 97 Suzuki PP Missile S-Rad, which you can absolutely abuse the rear brake on before it goes down. I love tearing up France like a Panzer tank into a French manor with it. They've also freed up engine mapping, so it's no longer only for endurance racing. The middle-of-the-road physics are the strongest aspect of Ride 5. Here's hoping they don't patch it. If this all sounds confusing, here's a simplified version of it. Ride 5 is the king of simcade physics. GP Bikes is the king of simulated physics. And finally, Road Rash is still the king of arcade physics. If you disagree, you hurt my feelings. Now for everything else, we got a season pass on the PC, boys. Yeah, boy! This is absolutely a W. Thank you, Milestone. And Cortech, how neat is that? Unfortunately, player feature-wise, it's all the same. Rider customization, same. Tools for liveries, same. 3 riding styles, same. And braking fingers, same fingers. If you're having deja vu, it's because it's the exact same as Ride 4. Also, yet again, no ride style editor, which has now been absent for 3 games, but you can at least put me on your butt. Speaking of that, I have a Spreadshop. You can get a deal D&D fanny pack. Also, a no cap. Motorcycle and track-wise, this is the biggest disappointment. All the bikes are the same bikes from 4, and I don't have a problem with the bikes already in the game. At least add more than one new model per manufacturer. It's extremely disappointing, as most bikes that people ride aren't even in the ride game, like the Ninja 400, the SV650. There's so many bikes that have been left out. So many early 90s sport bikes. And it's now the 5th installment of the game. DLC is planned, but how much you want to bet it's just the RM version of the bikes that are already in the game? This is an easier pill to swallow though because of the season pass, which you will need if you want to play with the supermotos or the scooters. And remember, the next time a Harley rider says you should be on a real bike instead of a lawnmower, ask him if he's ever been to the track. Speaking of track list, deja vu. There are a few new ones like Sonoma, Autopolis, if that's how you say it right, but the desert one was in Ride 1, 2, and 3, so it's not really new, and the South African track was a DLC from 4. Ride 5 has hit peak circuit. What's missing is public roads, the Snake, Sierra Nevada, and the drag races from 3. Rims has some of the best roads in gaming, full of wide open, hair-raising highways. That brings us to motorcycle customization. Ride 5's customization of motorcycles would be adequate, but Rims Racing exists. I can choose a floating or semi-floating brake disc, brake pads, and a different master cylinder. It's the future! In Ride 5, I hit one button, and then I hit another button, and now my brakes are better. Can you choose between rotors? Nope. Can you choose between different brake pads? Nope. It's inferior. You can't even customize the color of your triple tree or levers like you could in 1. For the Spencers, this is probably a moot point, and will get the job done. But for the rest of us, it's just not as good. Graphics-wise, this is where Ride 5 murders the competition. It is the best-looking motorcycle game you can buy. It's jaw-dropping. Just going into photo mode for the first time, you can really see the detail. As a naked bike enjoyer versus a fully fared fan, they look great and are incredibly detailed, down even to the front master cylinder bleeder screw, which is awesome. The gauge clusters look fantastic. Reflections and animations are the best they've ever been. And I think they've really improved how your rider interacts with the foot controls. It's all smooth. Sadly, no knee puck wear, but this is not a deal breaker. And shiny early 90s sport bikes. And weather transitions. Your race can start out dry and suddenly halfway through, you're wet. This combined with the day and night transition is very, very laundromat kids cool. Sound has overall improved from Ride 4, and for the first time, I actually like the menu themes. The deacceleration and the exhaust pops are fantastic. Most bikes sound pretty good, like my beloved Suzuki's, and some still sound like the inside of a blender. Camera-wise, we're lacking a lot of customization, FOV for one. Although Ride 5 has the first onboard camera I can use, it still doesn't hold a camera to GP bikes. And speaking of, replay is awful. We have those annoying black bars that cover up the screen thanks to Bridgestone, and a lot of Unreal Engine ghosting and artifacting. Which begs the question, why does Ride 1 have better looking replays? Career mode has been revamped. Long gone are the impossible licenses or continents. It's been replaced with a more generic progression system that doesn't allow you much choice. Thankfully, as you play, you unlock bikes quickly. There is a narrator and a rival system, which is fine. The rival will pop up in your race against you, and they're usually towards the front, but you don't really have to pay much attention. It'd be nice if you could make gentlemanly hand gestures back and forth to each other that would dictate aggressiveness. DylonND is an absolute douche canoe. You will destroy him by like 5,000 seconds because all he eats is fried Twinkies, hamburgers, and Diet Coke, and the cake on him slows him down so bad it's like an anchor. Look at that disgusting dad bod. His wrists are so weak he had to get a quick turn throttle to reduce stress. Ride 2 actually has a system where you could download your friend's rider to be in the races with you. Ride 5 could use this, and maybe, like Need for Speed Carbon, they could ram your rival. Ride 5's career mode is not the future. However, I do like the garage. Once you get further in the career, it gets upgraded, and it's cool to see the bike loaded up onto the trailer when you start, when the bike model loads, of course. I think they really need to double down on the all-person journey for the player, and Make the garage more interactive. Throw a dog or a cat in there, and maybe an advanced character creator, so you can finally go full RPG and gnome yourself. Did you know in Ride 3 you can change your clothes? There's also a new feature called Race Creator, which in theory sounds cool, right? But you don't have full control over it, and it's bugged. This tab just needs a freaking all setting. In fact, you could just do away with this tab completely. Just let me choose any bike against any bike. That's the whole point of a race creator and having Anyway, now for the AI. They are just like MotoGPs. They ram you a lot, but they're also competitive and can make races pretty exciting. They occasionally go wide too and make mistakes. There's also a new AI behavior tab, which is another step in the right direction. They still need to be trained not to hit the player as much. Thankfully, there's rewind to help with that, even in endurance mode. Milestone has mitigated this with allowing no collision or dynamic. Tires. Ride 5 is disappointing when it comes to tire selection. It's just slick or street tires again. Rims Racing Jobby lets you choose different compounds and types on the fly, and even mismatch. Ugh, it's the future. Now for the bugs. Here we go. Weird camera pull in third person. Rider animation on the new CBR and old Katana. Suzuki GSX S1000 exhaust bug. Not being able to go into certain menus for no reason if you minimize. Headlights are not bright enough at night. Whenever there's no data for online stuff, the game freezes. AI wins even though you're ahead. Lag during day and night transitions. Crashes. The entirety of endurance mode on release, in which endurance races just kept going on forever. Then they posted a patch. I went back into an endurance race, and while I was in first place, I started plummeting down the order. Suddenly I realized I hadn't pitted yet, so as I did, boom, 1+ lap, and bam, I won. Now theoretically in last place, because every time you go into the pits, you gain a lap. Finally, the photo camera. It's amazing. But we don't have as much freedom as we do in GP bikes, where I can put the camera anywhere. Also, Ride 5 now has a best moments at the end of the race, like Tourist Trophy. So overall, Ride 5 is the motorcycle game to get for the casual player. But for the vroomers, it misses that fast lap by several seconds. I don't want to keep playing the same game over again. This happens with most series, unfortunately. What would take Ride to the next level? Free roam, street tracks, full rim style customization, including tires, mod support, a detailed character creator, the ride style editor, a much better replay system, and more everyday bikes. I'm not trying to shake my fist at the Milestone gods, but I want something different, and I think it's time. And that is my review of Ride 5, Mustache Ride. Let me know what you think of the game in the comments, and thank you for all your support, and as always, keep the rubber side down.
Hey Mom, did you see that? There's the thing that goes straight up the hill, and I went like, I don't know, 3 feet off of it, nearly like killed myself. I did a few things, nearly killed myself. So, that's pretty much it.